A goal, Chris Billy, Huddersfield Town. The most famous goal of Chris Billy's life.
Is this the moment for Lee Fowler? It is. Take your place in Division 2, Huddersfield Town.
Ruby and Steve Simonson's boots now. He's missed. Steve Simonson clears the frame of the goal and collapses in a heap of tears. Huddersfield Town are promoted.
Mustafa Schindler has a chance to write his name in Huddersfield Town legend. And he takes that chance!
Hello and welcome back to the Andy Takes That Chance podcast. So then, the scene was set. Town's biggest game of the season, Worthy's biggest test. Nathan Jones frothing at the mouth. And Town falter within 31 seconds. Such a short space of time. In the good name of Alex Dyer, what the hell was that? With me are a couple of lads who tell their missus that 31 seconds is in fact a long and reasonable amount of time. We've got the return of the OGs. It's myself, Matt Shaw, Neil, the Whoppinator Wayne, Richard, voice of an angel, Kasmala. And joining us from the southerns of the fine country we call Merry England, it's Josh Phillips. How are we doing, boys?
Buzzing, boy. Buzzing,
Right. We good? Yeah? Happy? Right.
Mate. We're only a point off playoffs. It's all good.
Good. Full disclosure, it was my son's birthday the other day, so I didn't see all of the game, so I'll be leaning on you three a bit. So I class myself as the most fortunate of the four of us, I'll be honest, in this episode. Just going to flash back to the driving very quickly. Killer and I are amateur analysts at the very best. He's coached in the Aussie 4th tier or somewhere, and I coach an under-7s team, and it's not Premier League, it's not League One. But two things we said when previewing the game. Number one, make sure you don't go behind cheaply because they're very good when in front. Number two, you cannot pick the same midfield against Charlton as what you did Crawley because Coventry and Doherty will run over the top of it. We went with the same midfield, surrendered the lead and the entire game within 31 seconds, and this goal pisses me off massively because Town have the kickoff. We go long. We lose 2 duels immediately. Balker heads poorly up in the air. Hodge then loses the 3rd duel in a row within 15 seconds. There's a long ball from Nichols to no one down the middle of the pitch, which is then returned. And then Balker misplaces a pass to Brodie Spencer, who isn't looking for it or ready for it. He gets dribbled past easily, losing the 4th duel. The cross comes in. Pearson loses his man and his foot, and he falls on his ass. 5 duels out of 5 we've lost in 31 seconds. Only one side came out for kickoff with any intent in this game, any intent whatsoever. And this isn't my story to tell off the bat, so I'll only do a little bit. But when Michael Duff left this club in private, he absolutely slated the mentality of these players, and it's here bared out in front of us within 31 seconds. Andre Breitenreiter told us about these players last year. People laughed at him and said it was his fault. Michael Duff is telling us the same this year. People blame Michael Duff. You can have a talented playing squad in terms of raw ability, but when it's so incohesively put together and the players are so mentally fragile, this is what you get. 1-0 down within 30 seconds, Cosy, in the biggest game of the season. 1,600 fans have travelled down, like yourself, setting off at 5 o'clock, and the game's fucked within 31 seconds.
Just sad, Matt. The minimum, I didn't fancy us at all coming in this game, a bit like Killer in the drive-in. They were ready for us. Nathan Jones, like Huddersfield, it's well documented in that as well. They were ready for us. But the minimum I expect is a team to care. I want the club to represent me, mate. I want us to fight in.
Full of baldies. Aaron Moy in the midfield with Ronnie Waller.
You know what annoyed me shortly afterwards in that as well? I don't know if it's shown the highlights, but there was like a tackle like flying in, like, and somebody were crunched. I can't remember it, Josh. You was it Brother Spencer? And it's just like it's too late. We're knackered there. It's like, where is that from the start? And you see a lot of Spanish football now. They go in the dressing room like 10 minutes before and they show the team talk. I think a lot of it's for sure because it's EA Sports and stuff. But I'd love to have seen the camera in our dressing room at 12 because Paul's put a tweet out saying it's not unworthy to watch, and it ain't because it probably is because it's his name under associated with that. But what must they said to that? The trouble is, these players have let us down that many times, Matt. I refuse to believe it's like, right, they're going to have an eye press. They're going to be proper in his faces. You need to match their intensity. They're going to be well up for it. You need, come on. Like stuff like, I'd like to see us that tunnel. It's like, come on. Like you'd see some like, I want, like we used to see Vieira and Keane and all that. Who's our Warriors and stuff? Because it's just like, it were pathetic. They were just like, they just sauntered through us. And as soon as he got his head on it, I was right behind it, Matt, and just thought it's in. And I was laughing because, like, in the street, because I was just thinking there's going to be people watching it on a stream that's like 30 seconds behind, just putting down. It's just like, and I was saying to people, like, it's 12:30 kickoff, but it's a 12:31 kickoff for us. It was shocking, Matt. And then, but the worst thing is, it's like you're thinking we needed to kind of be strong that game, didn't we, for 20 minutes? And you're thinking, right, let's get a football back in. But it just knocked everything out of us. But the ineptness of it just looked like it didn't matter. To me, Matt, it looked, I tweeted it after, it looked like a bunch of players that just said, fuck you, we're done. We are out of here. Our contracts are up in the summer. We're not asked. This is a promotion battle for Charlton and for our fans behind the goal, but that's not for us. It's not negotiable, just effort. When you think of that team that Worthy played in, Matt, there were people playing there that should never have played, that were knackered, boo. They were like on one leg and stuff, some games and stuff. And it would just, he'd have done anything like that. His heart must have been broken, mate. Just like because it is on his watch, sadly. It's under his name and it's probably going to cost him any chance of the job. But John Worthington, we know and love, that's not John Worthington on that pitch. He must have been soul destroyed. And it was unbelievable, Matt. I'm going on a tangent, but the only thing I was trying to compare, Macclesfield away, mate. But then I'm thinking, well, hang on a minute. Jacko's team, that was just a bad day. You can't fault Jacko's team for art and passion, mate. You could fault for quality. That was just a bad day in the office. I remember going to Rochdale and getting absolute gubbing under Lee Clark and with the attitude, all that. I think it might have been a Tuesday night. I remember us getting beat easily, but I can't remember in such a big game when everything mattered that we just didn't turn up. It was absolutely disgusting, mate. And there's people looking at each other just thinking, what is going on here? And we're going to dissect everything later, but the minimum you're expecting a massive big showdown like that, you knew if Charlton beat us, we weren't catching them. We were up for it. We were not. And it was just sad. And 1,600 fans there. Sorry, mate. I thought, don't hold it in when Matt asked me the first question, but it's gone. It was disgusting, mate. And
it's all right. I queued you up with that 1,600. Really, I knew.
Yeah, is that the end of the pod? There's 7 minutes in, but Matt, the away end was sad, mate. I left after 66 minutes. Don't think Joshua much behind me. Johnny Buchan put that picture out. I think we like the Cartwright out banner. We like there's hardly anyone there, and
it looked like you holding it up to be fair, mate, with the ball guy.
Shocking, yeah. Because like I said, the club that we hadn't even talked about off the pitch stuff, but I love the club to represent me. Someone was fired into me last night on Twitter saying, "Well, this happens. It's football. If it's not for you, then don't come anymore." But no, sorry, I paid a lot of money. I travelled down from 5 a.m. The minimum I expect, even if they beat us, because they were better than us, is effort, people desire, people giving a shit, and there were none of that, Matt.
I mean, tactically at this point now, Town are a mess. After 31 seconds, it's a mess, Josh. This is where players with a mentality respond. They buck up, they bristle, they just react. Teams that make the playoffs and are serious about promotion respond. This team yesterday were cosplaying as a playoff team. Okay, the second goal, and I'm going to get triggered again by the second goal because it's a simple nothing long ball down the middle of the pitch. It's a nothing ball. Matty Pearson should be dealing with that. So I've no idea why he doesn't just cushion it back to Nichols either. Instead, it's a weak header to the middle of the pitch, and he's out of position then, leaving Tyrese Campbell free. And the second ball gets picked up by Charlton because Hodge is daydreaming. Hodge is he's ahead of the Charlton guy. He's on his haunches. The Charlton guy nips ahead of him, heads it to Campbell, and Turton's so slow at coming across again. And it's so disappointing. The goal is so disappointing because, like you said, there's so many fans. There's you down there. I know you've got less to travel because being a fancy Dan Southerner down there, but you don't get. It's a shit goal, mate. Just finish it off. It's just I'm getting angered.
Yeah. Just watched it back actually. Yeah, really poor header from Turton, and then really slow to get out to him. But I'm going to sound a bit like Mike Bassett's assistant manager here, but Charlton were bloody brilliant, weren't they? And as bad as Crawley were, Charlton was every bit as good. I thought the best performance we've seen, probably the best individual performance we've come up against as well. Tyrese Campbell. I didn't know much about him until yesterday, but he's come through their academy, so I think he might go for a bit of money in the summer probably. But yeah, it was just really poor. I wasn't going to bother going. But it's weird when it's like a game that's not far from me. I kind of feel like a weird sense of duty to go. Yeah, I know it's pathetic, but yeah, I did. And I got there and like in the back of my mind, I thought we're going to get battered here. But you go, you never know, do you? And also, I've never seen us lose there, so well, I have now. But yeah, the players come out, everyone's up for it, and then, like you said, after 30 seconds, it's just flat. But then you think, oh, we could come back into it, but then obviously not. We got absolutely battered. And to be honest, Nichols probably saved us a lot more embarrassment. It could have been more. Balker, I do still rate him as a player, but he has got a casual style, and when he makes mistakes, they look even worse. But he was just all over the place. I'm watching it back now. He's like slipping and sliding everywhere. Can't pass. And I agree with what you guys are saying about like there's no effort, not the required standard of effort. It's very passive, just standing off and watching them do what they want. But on top of that, and I think it's been a problem all season, is our level of execution is really poor. On paper, a lot of these guys are meant to be decent players, and they can't control the ball. They can't pass 5 yards. It's like the ball is never under control. It's just bouncing everywhere, and it's really poor. And it's just like when you're not putting the effort in and you're not executing as you should either, it's obviously going to result in disaster, which it has. And I think we all thought this performance might come, and it's not a surprise, really.
Neil, what's worse, watching Town or your ankle?
Oh. Well, considering the ankle wants chopping off, it's still a tough call, I've got to be honest. We've not got a team there who represents us as a football club. They don't represent us. They don't represent hard-working, honest people who go out and do the... Yeah.
Oh, sorry to butt in. Worthy said after, they're an honest bunch of lads. Sorry, John. That's absolute bollocks. Honest bunch of lads, my ass. That's not fair.
He's going to keep him on side, isn't he?
He's been put into a position where he ain't going to say no to running the last 10 games, but it just shows you how utterly clueless it is from above. And everything from above reflects on what we see out there on a 3 o'clock on a Saturday afternoon or 7:45 on a Tuesday night. We've seen some horrific performances recently and over the last few years. And be honest, it doesn't really matter who manager is. And there's a lot of talk now of saying we should give them a chance to see rest of the season to know what we're going to do for the start of next season. But I wouldn't trust this lot to pick them to get it right, because whoever they pick, they could get Pep in and he'd be out in 6 months on a nice little payoff. They just don't know what they're doing. And at the moment, every bit of blame comes down on whichever poor sod sat in dugout. And let's be honest, they've all been hung out to dry. All of them. It's just an absolute shambles from top to bottom. And as long as certain people remain running the club, I'm sorry, but it's just going to carry on. And that's where I feel with it. We've been reactive last season on season tickets. We've done it again this season, being reactive because there's been a bit of uproar about season tickets. If you really back yourselves to do the job right, do the job right. Get your prices planned, do it properly, do your research, put the prices out, the people will come. But ultimately we will all turn up for a team who looks like they give a shit and have got some idea of what they're doing. And at the minute, I don't think we've got any of that.
No, that was the first half. It was one-way traffic. Town, very, very abject. Second half, Hogg comes on for Hodge. I think it was Hodge, wasn't it, at half-time? Hoggy should have started. If Kasuma wasn't fit to start, it should have been Hogg in there. That midfield, it was obvious it was going to get overrun. And to be honest, it still gets overrun in the second half with him on the pitch. It's not great. I mean, Josh is right. Charlton were very good on the day, but what Charlton did was just basic football. It wasn't complicated. It wasn't intricate. It was just balls forward. And it's half time, and we're sixth in the league with a team that should have. Well, a lot of people think is good enough or should have been good enough for the top two in terms of technical ability, and we sat there hoping we're not going to get hammered away at anyone in this league. And that's not been disrespectful to Charlton. They're very good. They were very good, and they've got a really good balance about them, and they'll probably do very well in the playoffs. But Hogg comes on at half time. Kasumu could have played. Yet the third goal's not far away, and it's another shambles again. And it's not. And this is why I'm really annoyed, because all 4 goals are shit. They're not good goals that Charlton have scored. I mean, Campbell's finish here is brilliant. That's okay, but how he gets there is just so poor. Again, Hogg loses it in midfield. We struggle to win it back. Ruskin loses it again. And then our defence at this point is just a complete mess. Pearson stepped out. Turton swept around, leaving Campbell completely free. And I don't know what Spencer's doing. And then Turton doesn't deal with Campbell at all. And he shows him onto his favoured foot. You know, Campbell wants to cut in onto your right foot. Ollie, you're a 31-year-old experienced defender. Why are you showing him onto his favourite's foot where he wants to shoot? You should be showing him down the line. It's just brainless football from us, constantly brainless football. And it's so hard to watch it. Whether you're at the ground, whether you're watching the highlights, whatever fan you are, it's just so difficult to watch a team which should be doing better, making such basic errors and constantly underachieving. And I've watched the highlights again before I've come on, and this is why I'm really pissed off, because I've just watched it all again and re-gone through it, and I'm just like, it's like I've just gone through it for the first time again. It's just so poor.
There were two things at the start of the second half that were unbelievable. So you're thinking, what reaction we got? We had a throw-in, right? Ruben Ruskin had the ball. And I was thinking, mate, just get hold of it because we need to score. And he threw it. He just threw it out of play to Callum Marshall. It was the most incredible thing ever. This was like 47 minutes. And Marshall's looking at Ruben Ruskin thinking, what are you doing here, mate? So then I'm thinking, wow. So we've come on a good tempo in the second half. Then even worse to happen, Anthony Evans. It was just incredible. Like, he had the ball and he seemed to have it for an eternity. He was shuffling one way or the other, thinking, pop a shot of it because you've got a good shot. And I think he must have tackled his feet, Josh. What did he do? He wouldn't.
Watching it back, he just falls over. But when he had the ball in that position, it's only 2-0. You're thinking, all right, this is a guy who we've signed. His highlight reel is full of getting the ball in this area. Have a shot, just do something. And then it summed him up, really. Like, I just think he's so slow. Like, if a slow thought,
he lost balance. And it was.
I played a really poor game. And he goes charging back after it. Hacks him down, gives away a yellow card, and then they nearly score from that. That summed it up, really.
It's brainless football, and that's unfortunately what they got. And I know people say, "Oh, Worthy got it wrong. Worthy got this right, this wrong, this wrong, this wrong." Worthy's been let down by these players from minute one. I mean, you can point to Worthy and say Worthy's not reacted on the touchline, but these players are just constantly. I mean, if he had, would they have done anything? How many managers do we go through before the penny drops? You know what I mean?
Can't sack all the players there, can you?
I mean, a lot of them are out of contract. They should have. It's easy to say it now, but we said it at the time, Josh, that last summer they had to have the big turnover, and they didn't do it. Yeah. They didn't do it. They thought they knew better. They thought Andrea Brighton-Wright was cuckoo, but no.
Yeah, they had to be ruthless, and we need to be ruthless this summer. But then the issue is, like, who's in charge of it? So it's, we know who's in charge of it.
That's your problem, isn't it? That's your problem.
Yeah.
Now, what did you think of Lee Nichols' performance? I bigged him up thinking we'd be
I thought we were good.
8 or 9, but he got the worst rated in football. And some people were tearing into me last night. I think obviously fans of our number 2 keeper saying that first goal wouldn't have happened because of we've got his poor, his feet, his ball out, and they weren't. I don't know if they kind of anti-Nichols fans and that as well, but I thought he saved us from a pummeling. To be honest,
I did. I thought he made. If you want to play that game, Lee Nichols made 3 or 4 saves that the other goalkeeper would have got nowhere near. So it swings and roundabouts. I thought Lee Nichols was good.
He cared, Matt. Lee Nichols cared. I thought again, Taylor. He ran. The service he gets is a joke. He's nearly getting his head decapitated every time, but he still keeps chasing and running. He earned his money yesterday and that as well. I think Marshall's built that ill, but some of the other guys, Ben Wiles, I know he might as well play with 10 men.
Didn't know you were playing.
He's in
That's
the
not
new
the first
chapter.
time you say that about him, is it? You just go.
We need Danny G on for another transparent Taft, don't we? We need to bring that joke back. Make us feel better.
The
about
Wiles, Odge and Evans, horrendous midfield, that in it really. I mean, Kazuma came on later on. He didn't look hardly fit, but he still did more in that. I mean, they eased off really, but it just what a shambles. So bad.
The fourth goal as well. It's another simple ball up the line, and Turton's done again easily. It's just the ball's passed, and the thing is though, Tyrese Campbell's got two players just stood there watching him, and he rolls it back to Doherty, who's unmarked on the edge of his. Why is he unmarked? Why is they're playing with two central midfielders? Why is one of them even unmarked? And he gets lucky. To be fair, it's unlucky for Lee Nichols. Is that it's like I say, he's made some good saves. He kept the score down, but he didn't deserve that.
You know what? But if you shoot, you have a chance, haven't you?
Yeah, buy a ticket, win the raffle, etc. Yeah.
But you know what, though, in the stadium, Matt, there was so much energy there. This is in the old days. I'd have had 8 pints and like be fighting with Charlton fans. But I went to Costa with an old pensioner who were, there were a Charlton guy. There were only one spare seat next to me, and he said, "Can I sit here?" And that's when they saw me Huddersfield thing. I thought, "Here we go. We're going to have a chat." But to be fair, he used to house Ademola Lookman. A bit of a story that was nice. We're playing, but basically he told me that they've got a lot of energy, a lot of youth. That they would be proper up for it and pressing for us and that as well. Nathan Jones he could not say how much of a shambles they were a year ago when Nathan Jones took over. I think they were like 13th or 14th in the league. He said it was almost impossible job, and he's turned that around in like a year and that as well. We everyone on the same page. And when I walked out of there, because he said, do you think it'd be good enough to like championship? He says, you know what, I think Mark a chance and that as well. But he says you could feel the energy, mate, and like the bringing a step of their fans going in there. There were a good atmosphere and stuff. And when you think about it, right, we were only a few points off them, we're miles off them now, and it's like I was saying that Lincoln. I've just done a preview for the Tuesday's game. It's like it just don't feel like we're challenging for the playoffs. It feels like our season's done. It felt like to me after Bristol, it were done for Duff there, but it's incredible. You wouldn't believe you were watching a playoff challenging team like Huddersfield. I think you just know it when it is a playoff season, when you've got a chance of going up. And this lot, it's incredible. But obviously, we wheeled it back to middle of Jan and we're beating Wickham. I can't believe how it's unravelled so quick. But I just felt for Worthy yesterday, and Tong and Russell and everyone. Really, it's just like the team is just. Is it as simple, Matt, as players just they're off in the summer and they don't care? Because you know what they're like, we're tribal as football
because
fans.
if you don't play well, you don't get a move, do you? That's the thing. If you play crap, no one signs you. If you play well, surely that's the carrot, the carrot and the stick sort of thing. You play well, score goals, perform brilliantly, you get a better move and you get more money, or you get a better contract at Huddersfield. I don't think anyone just stops, because who wants to sign someone who's tossed it off for 6 to 12 months? No one.
But I know it don't matter on the pitch, Matt, but don't you think it just sums it up? So we somehow have smashed Crawley, who beat Rotherham, but so there's a bit of a feel-good factor, tiny bit of a feel-good factor, with a big caveat that they were awful. So how can we ruin that? Let's bring the season card prices out at the international break and just piss everyone off. It's unbelievable. I just think a lot of this stuff travels down onto the pitch, mate. It's like, what are you doing? The club is just shooting itself in the foot, left, right.
We'll talk about that again in a minute.
And then next thing you'll be telling me that
not like you jumped ahead, is it, Cozzy?
Don't be telling me that our star striker mate's gone in the way end of our playoff rival and all.
Well, that's another one on the agenda. If you want to rifle through the agenda, we'll call it a day. Let's do it. But I just googled Tyrese Campbell just to have a look at him, and I'm just looking at him now, and apparently his middle name's Tupac Shakur. So Tyrese Tupac Shakur Campbell. That's
Campbell.
Interesting. Yeah, Campbell. Yeah, Campbell.
But for 2 pack of special brew yesterday, hadn't that away, and shocking, man.
Oh, I had the worst pint ever, I think, at Charlton away, that Rose of Denmark pub. If anyone went in that Rose
It's still open, Matt.
Is it still open?
Yeah.
Oh, so bad. Anyway, fourth goal went in. Town at no point looked like they were going to get anything. In fact, Charlton scored a fifth, didn't they, where he got disallowed. Tactically, I thought we were really poor. At no point did we really change what we were doing. I thought we were slow to react. I mean, I think the players have let Worthy down straight away. Could he have done a bit more maybe at 1-0? I'm not sure, because the players should be responding. I thought we were very passive, very weak, and I don't think anyone took any responsibility, and the players got outfought. And I think that's what annoys you the most, is that they got really badly outfought and the other team wanted it more. And I hate cliches and things
He
like
didn't
that, but
pick a
it's
team
true.
for that game. He picked a team because we won't wait.
No, he didn't. He did, yeah. I mean, you look at the duels, Neil. Duels, Charlton won 63 to our 47. Ground duels, they won 38 to our 28. Aerial, they won 25 to our 19. They've just beaten us.
The only things I can remember as winning
personal battles
was Spencer with 2 tackles in about 10 seconds. And that was it. That was the only time we showed any kind of fight all game. Pathetic.
Well, that's Charlton 4, Huddersfield 0, and that's a big nail into our playoff hopes, unfortunately. If you didn't make the game, though, don't worry. Neither did Dion Charles. Dion Charles ended up in the away end at Bolton. And if you look on Instagram as well, Freddie Ladapo skipped the game to get married as well. So it's I'm not sure what's going on.
This is peak Huddersfield Town, isn't it?
I mean, it could be a delayed message from Freddie, or it could be a Mother's Day one that people are getting wrong. But Dion Charles was definitely in the away end. I mean, if your team is playing and you want to go watch a match, go watch the team that you're employed to play for. Yeah, I mean, you can't be going to watch a playoff rival. I tend not to get as bothered about these things as a lot of other people, but I do. When your team's playing, you're contracted to play for them, and you're being paid by them, and you go watch the old team who we're going head to head with for that 6th place. It's the most brainless thing he's done since. I'm not going to say the other brainless thing he did on podcast, because that's just it's beneath me to do such a thing. Well, it's probably not, because I'm a dickhead, but it's just doesn't make very smart choices, does Dion? Let's say, and I mean, all the Bolton fans who were singing songs about him when we played them were certainly singing different songs. But Cozzy, it riled you up the most, did this?
Huge. Maybe a bit of emotion, Matt. It's not like me to go off on one, but obviously I just got back. But
I was confused by this.
It was filtering through, mate. Someone messaged me saying, I'm mad. I was mad about the game, but not as mad as Dion Charles at Blackpool in the Bolton. And I'm thinking, there's bollocks. And then I thought, that picture that first happened, I thought, you know what? Does it look, is that really him? And then that video surfaced where they're like bouncing about. But you know what? If you have to go, just go like in the side stand and just be low profile, put an hoodie up or a snood or something, but just, you can't make it up. I'm trying to think of a similar incident like involving any level. I just think it's incredible that it's, you know what, if it had been at Man City or Liverpool or something like that, then you can kind of see it. But even then, I still wouldn't agree with it because there's a game on. But it's like it's like they could be battling for us for that 7th spot. Although that seems pie in the sky because Bolton fans I know think they're going the same way as us out of the 6. But it was just like taking the piss. It would almost like you're just reeling from coming out of that ground, thinking how bad that was. And then you just look at your social, you're just thinking, is this for real? And then it's like obviously we've seen backtrack of it. Just the wheels are off. It's unbelievable. And the trouble is, Matt, and another thing as well, it's like he needs all the help they can get on the Huddersfield fan base. He had scored a goal. It's a horrendous miss against, was it Wrexham? He's got to be wanting people on side, mate. I don't know how fit he's going to be when he's back or whatever, but I'm afraid he's going to come out on the pitch with people getting on his back, and that's wrong. There were some people saying to me that, oh, yeah, it's only because we lost. Honestly, mate, I don't care if he'd scored 30 goals in the season and we were top of the league and that's happening. Yeah, it might not be the biggest season, but that's just pure wrong. And I'm trying to think of any other social media thing. I'm trying to think of any other team's player. Can you imagine? I'm trying to think who's battling for who and that as well. Leeds, Sheffield United or someone like that. You've got, someone for Burnley, like, who used to play for Leeds, going to in Leeds end, like in a game like that. The only thing I can think is Calvin Phillips, but going to watch Leeds when Man City might have been playing, but I don't think they're even playing at the. I'm stunned. I'm absolutely stunned. And again, it's just another blow for the fans in a season of blow after blow after blow. The guy is absolutely thick as mince, and that video where he's like, obviously, if he's been asked for himself, he's hardly going to shrug it off. But you're in the away end, mate. I cannot believe you can't make it up, Neil. What do you think about that? Am I being over-exaggerated? Just I've spent a lot of money, but it's wrong, isn't it? It's just so wrong.
Honestly, if Town aren't playing at the same time, does it matter? That's the thing.
I think it does because it's they're playing. They're with us, Matt. It's not.
I get it.
League, I don't have an issue with it.
I've just take a breath, Cozzy. Take a breath. I get
Pick
why
the right one to go with that one.
I get why people are frothing. I understand it, but if the result at Charlton is a Town win I don't think many people could give a shiny shite what Dion Charles is doing, to be honest. I wouldn't. I wouldn't be bothered. If we'd won down there, put in a great performance, I wouldn't care where he was. I think I get why people are proud. I know Cos is absolutely seething. But it's one of them. Is it a bit misguided from him? Probably. But in the scheme of things, let's be fair, it's not worse than it's happened at Huddersfield Town this season, is it? Not by a long way.
Josh, defend me.
I'm with you, Kazi, to be fair. I think it's like very misguided, not reading the room at all. He's been awful for us.
He's a footballer. They're all thick as fuck, aren't they?
True, yeah. And we've had, I think, was it Peltier came back into a Town away end after he'd left or something like that. Might be making that up. But I think he was in a different division at the time.
No will ever beat Darren Bullock taking Swindon's shirt off and throwing it on pitch and putting it.
The only examples I can think of was Ramsdale was at the Southampton playoff final, but again, Arsenal Southampton is not really a comparison. I just think it's like you've come to town, you've been awful. Like the thing about the fans' goodwill is correct. Like next time he has a stinker, like you might think, oh, come on, give him a chance. But now it's like, nah, bollocks to him. He's clearly not that bothered. So it won't end well for him. Like he can do what he wants. Technically, he's done nothing wrong, but it's not a clever move, is it?
What happens if we didn't play? This is just laughable because it's not going to happen. But what happens if Bolton Huddersfield at playoff final? That
Bag's winner, doesn't he?
Good for.
No idea.
Honestly, it just crowned a horrendous day. Just seeing that video and what the pieces Worthy's got to pick up for that Lincoln game are astounding. He's pretty sharp and to the point, and I remember his interviews before, and it's the same. Have you noticed when you get on YouTube, it's only like if Worthy's been speaking when they play, it's only like 48 minutes, where Duff and everyone's like an hour plus or more, were like 10 hours of and all that. But it'll be interesting. I don't know how he picks these up, because are people looking down, Matt, and thinking, you're a youth coach, mate, and we're not going to be here, so up yours, or am I just overreacting to one game? Tuesdays, I just think it's the worst game we could have. Lincoln away. Jesus, they're going to be so ready for us, and it's an horrible game to have, isn't it, that, to bounce back?
Well, it's good to have a game straight away, I guess. Chance to put it right, but they probably won't, will they?
I'm not so. I think that gets peddled out a lot. I'm not so sure that is the right thing at minute for us.
Playing football is definitely not the right thing for us.
No, that bodge together in 11 to go there against a team who have got a good home record, and where we look at the minute, I can completely mask over at Crawley game because they were awful. They were absolutely dreadful. And anybody should have beat them on day. But I can't see us getting up but B. I'll be honest, on Friday, I would even messaging Tom who I go with saying, shall I order some Lincoln tickets? And thank God I didn't, because I'd have been sending them back.
That away end's going to be toxic, innit, on Tuesday night if it starts going wrong. I mean, you saw the banner out yesterday. That's the first time we've seen that. It's horrible, mate. What? This is to be a team going for promotion. It's anarchy, man.
Let's go to Patreon. So we are still accepting members on Patreon, free and paid. Please join. I'm going to push this every single episode because take-up's been good, but slightly lower numbers. But thank you very much to those that have joined. Very much appreciate that. So we're just having a look through some of our Patreon members, what they've said. Harris sends the seagull meme with the boo. James Carey says, yawn, is it me or does anyone have no affinity towards any of these players?
No.
Jack says, I have an affinity. I can't stand most of them. Then we say, Jack says, I feel like I'm on glue when I watch Town. 3 kickoffs and Pearson, I think, has twatted the ball to Joe Taylor. First 2 times it's gone flying over, and the third it was immediately intercepted. What sort of stuff do they train on? Yeah, and James Carey says, Nichols aiming for Taylor and it's sailing over his head every time. Will Harris says, can't pass to each other, letting them have a shot on goal every time they come forward. Not a good combo. Aidan Grover says, an expensive squad that isn't fit to wear the shirt. You know who out. You're not allowed to put that on Twitter anymore, by the way. Dean Smith says, the most forgettable set of mercenaries ever to be assembled at HTFC. I would back my Notts County Under-11s girls team to give them a game. No fight, no passion, don't do the basics, can't pass a ball, can't tackle, and can't track or don't track runners. Basics of football. Recruitment, ? Awful.
What can't you put on Twitter anymore?
You can't respond to Huddersfield Town with Cartwright out. They've blocked it, which...
I managed it yesterday.
They have. Sure.
I heard people say it, so I tested it out, and it went.
I'm going to say, is that actually a joke?
I don't know. I didn't realise you could block stuff. I'd block all sorts, mate.
Unless it's the hashtag.
If the club have blocked fans saying Cartwright out, that is next level fuckery.
They can't have done that. Surely, mate, if Dion Charles could do that, then who knows what's possible, Neil?
Let me try it now.
Cole Fronchak says, I want to say something positive about there being 8 more games to go, but our propensity to make individual errors is going to kill us. How many goals has Balka cost us? And he's only been fit for a dozen or so games. There's zero character in this team, which may be a feature of many teams these days, since character seems to be coached out of players now. But this felt like a new low today. And then there's messages about a club having no plan. Helix scored, couldn't write it. Someone's put.
They haven't got a plan, have they? What is the plan?
No, I don't see a plan, especially a footballing plan. I've been on about this for ages. I don't see one.
Matt, I was saying to a rival podcaster at half time on yesterday that I can accept us missing out on the playoffs, Ivan. I can't believe I'm saying this. This is, but if you had the faith that they could get it right, and we had a manager in now who could sort it out, I could kind of even just. It's really bad to say this. How can you write off a season? Because it's unacceptable that we're not going to make the playoffs, in my opinion. But it's just moving it forward. All the stuff that's happening, and the faith, it's just not there, is it? That's what makes it so destroying for me. It's like this is a summer where we need everything to go. It's a huge summer, Matt, and we're in turmoil, aren't we?
It's always a huge summer, mate. Every summer's a huge summer. I say that every summer. And they get
Don't forget the saviour Huddersfield Town, though. H-Town solves everything. Got a nice bar. Lovely.
You know what they keep saying? After every manager, they say, everyone says, we can't afford to get this one wrong. And then we get it wrong. And then we say the same thing again.
I know. We can afford because we do it. Kevin affords because he has to pay
What did you say, Neil? It said, ready to go? What were it? What were that thing you were saying?
I've never heard as much bollocks in all my life. Well, I have heard a lot of bollocks from Town recently, but on that video, he still thinks we're good enough to get to the Championship this season. And if not, we'll be fully loaded for next season. What?
Like a bet chips down at H-Town.
I mean, come on.
Like a wet lettuce.
Patreon's gone off on a tangent here about Mellier's wrists. And then Lee Yarker just got on from the big smoke. And my highlight of my day was realising they offered Lamb, Rogan, Josh on my train home. I was buoyed when seeing the team sheet that several injured players had returned. After seeing that performance, I think they should have stayed injured. Just like when Duff was in charge, I cannot see Worthington telling the players that the tactic today was to be slow on the ball and 90% of the time pass to a Charlton player, or failing that, hoof balls towards Joe Taylor and expecting to win headers against the Twin Towers tag team of Charlton. Wrestling reference for Matt there. I get it, it's good. We've now been through several managers and the team still throw in these god-awful performances. At some point, we have to realise it's not the physios, the manager, the fitness team, or Brookie's fault. Brookie's next in line, isn't he, for a blaming? Rambo's had it. It's Brookie next. The players are just not playing as instructed. I think Killer nailed it right originally when he said Jones will have his team to play horrid direct football that we can't deal with. And it was exactly that. They targeted Turton against Campbell, knowing his backup was an even slower Matty P. And it destroyed us, and that was after destroying ourselves by assisting their first goal. And can someone, please tell me, someone at Town categorically, that Evans and Wiles as attacking midfielders together do not work? Why can every fan see it, but not everyone at the club?
Remember the opening game of the season when they both scored and they both looked great? Now look at
Yeah, Peterborough, remember that back when things seemed good, Joe.
God, it seemed like years ago that. Jesus.
I know. James Bentley says today's game was like playing FIFA with an older cousin who knows all the fancy tricks and was toying with us the whole time. It seemed like we only knew the button to pass and twat it long, and even then we couldn't use them right. It's like when you switch, Josh, it from Pro Evo to FIFA and you get the buttons wrong and you end up pressing shoot instead of pass. Nick says it was like watching a team of 11 deer carbies. At least getting a pint was quick. Will Shaw says first trip to Charlton, lovely ground, might be your last, Will. Complete inability on our part to fill the gaps between midfield and defence, and some very dumb defending. Nathan Jones may be an odious tit, but he gets players playing like that. How much works we give for that level of effort and engagement? Jimmy Islip says only this set of players could chuck in that performance the game after season ticket prices increase. So true, isn't it? Charity. And then Jack says, I just want to say how much I cannot stand this squad. Jack's on one here. I've always wanted to own and frame a signed Huddersfield Town shirt, ideally with all the players, but I've never had the opportunity with money, etc. Anyway, my work with auctioning signed EFL shirts to raise money for charity, despite what would be paying probably half of a signed shirt would go for. I'd rather not have these bastard signatures on my wall for the first time in years. I cannot stand the vast majority of this team. I just to say, these are not the opinions of us four panelists. This is Jack's opinion on the Patreon. Dion Charles spotted at Bolton away whilst injured. Yes, he's a human being and isn't expected to never have any plans because Town are shite on the pitch. But long gone are the days of Steve Mounier in the away end at Arsenal handing out Christmas presents to Town fans. Would any of Wagner's lot... That were brilliant, that. And he's singing his own song at Arsenal away.
Arsenal away, Jesus.
Would any of Wagner's lot have gone to the playoff rival games? No professionalism or loyalty from these lot who earn more money than Wagner's lot did. Oh, I'm not sure about that. But yeah, unhappy people on the Patreon. And I know it's been a doom and gloom pod, but we've just lost 4-0 to a playoff rival and found ourselves below Reading, who could go bust in 2 weeks because they've not been able to sign.
I don't even think they're a playoff rival. Just the league's in front of us. Bolton are better than us. Reading are better than us.
Reading are not better than us, mate. Honestly, Reading are shite. I've got no idea how they're sixth. I've got no idea. They've got a decent midfield, but they're shite. I'll be stunned if Reading finish in the top six. Yeah, we're all shite.
You know what Nathan Jones was saying on Radio London way back? He says it's the most complete performance he said in the division this season. So he
all they did was twat the ball down the middle of the pitch. That's all they had to do.
Charlton were decent, but I don't think they were all else other than decent. We were just absolutely horrific. That game were over the minute we lost that ball after kickoff. The game were done. That were it. We were nowhere to be seen for the next 90, however many minutes it was. Utter, horrendous, inept, apathetic, shite performance.
It's a good one to review, isn't it? So,
get all James when I come back on here. Get all the
it's the first time I've heard some Cartwright out chants, to be honest, at a game and that as well. And that fan, I think that you are get out of our club. Yeah, they were singing "Get out of our club" and stuff. But
is it all on him though?
I think he's been blamed for a bit too much, if I'm being honest, Neil. But his position's untenable, surely, mate.
But I'm more aiming it at, is it just him?
No.
We've got a chairman who lives abroad who pops over every time he turns up we get beat. But a chairman who lives abroad, you can't run a business like this from so far away without having the right people on the ground over here. And for the 2 years that they've been involved, we've got relegated when we shouldn't have done, but we've got relegated in a complete inept season last season, followed by this season being... It's had a few shoots of hope, but that's as good as it's got. Let's be honest, it hasn't got any better than that. And that's only because it's a crap division. It's an awful division. You've got Birmingham, who've spent about 300 million quid. They were always going to piss this league. But you've then got other teams around it from... You've only got to look, we're not very good. Matt's just very nicely said that Reading aren't particularly good. Bolton aren't particularly good. Leighton Orient aren't particularly good. You've got Charlton who will look decent, but not special.
They look shit before Christmas, did Charlton, to be fair.
Wrexham are on a roll and get a free gift of a penalty every week.
That's another joke.
They get charity penalties. It's ridiculous. Wickham, you can't fault a club of that size doing what they've done. I honestly thought when they lost a manager to derail them, and it's done the opposite. Fair play to them, can't fault it. Who else is up there? Stockport have got on a bit of momentum from last season, but the rest of it, if our hierarchy think that this squad is a squad that's good enough to get us back to Championship, our hierarchy, if you're listening, are about as far wrong as they possibly could be. We are nowhere near. It's a team full of heartless, couldn't give a shit mercenaries who don't care about this football club. And we turn up every week to support, get behind, if it weren't for the social aspect of seeing people that I like at ground every week, I'd have packed it in ages ago. And then we get the season tickets coming out because we've beat Crawley. Let's prey on them now because we've just won a game B5. What a load of bollocks. Everything about the club ain't joined up. Like I said earlier on, last year they had uproar because of season ticket prices back down. This year they've altered them slightly after a bit of uproar. There's nothing that sticks. There's nothing that's a concrete decision. Nothing that they're doing, that they're backing, including the managers. And any fault that comes, they just blame manager and get rid. I dread to think what is paid out in. I mean, to quote Mr. Cartwright, it sounds completely moronic, but correct, Mark, it does. Correct. And it's getting more moronic by the week. It is an absolute shit show, top to bottom. And the fans are turning up, they're paying the money. 1,600 travelling to Charlton for a TV game, 3-4 hours away at 12:30, having had an awful run other than the game against Crawley. That you can't fault any of them. That's an epic turnout in anybody's book. And to be let down like they were, but the club still want us to turn up backers and tell us that they're doing all the right things. Show us. It's time for some action now to show us you're doing the right things, because at the minute, nowhere near. Nowhere near.
Matt, do you think that, obviously it's a good thing he's regressed on some of the things, but do you just think it makes, it's the fact that, does it annoy you more that these supporters groups that supposedly liaise with, it's almost like, this is what, this could happen, this is what it should do, this is what we think, and then it was like, up yours, we'll just do what we want, and now we'll just backtrack because there's a shitstorm. Does it wind you up, mate? Or you thinking,
no, do you know what, part the two parts of that, the really cynical part of me thought, do you know what, I bet they've put the season ticket prices at a ridiculous price, knowing they get a pushback, and then they'd give a bit back, but they'd still be too high, but because they give a bit back, they might get away with it. There was like that cynical part of me and then I was like, no, don't be such a cynic. But
if they have done that, that's a shambles.
Yeah, I don't.
I thought the same, because
that was just my cynical nature kicking in, I think, rather than it being a fact. But no, we've got an interview with Alistair Bell from HTSA, which I'll play in now.
Hi everyone, thank you for having me on. What does HTSA do? So we're a democratic community organisation, but first and foremost we are advocates for Huddersfield Town fans. So we gauge fans' views, survey data through social media, through speaking with town fans, and we also, through our AGM, so coming up on the 9th of April, get my plug in there, town fans who are members, they can submit motions, so specific policies that if approved by a membership, we will then be pursuing those for the coming year. We then are able to represent town fans' views and interests to the best of our ability in structured dialogue meetings with the club, the ATT panel, and also outside of that as well. In addition, we've got the HTSA Heritage project. So we've got the Heritage website, digital even online archive, where people can go and view Town's illustrious history. We've also got Lee Morris does features in the matchday programmes, including interviews with former players. And another thing will be the sustainability project. So trying to get stakeholders for the John Smith Stadium together to make that as sustainable an asset as possible. If town fans want to get more involved or just become a member and support us, you can just go to www.hsa-web.com/join, or just Google HSA or DM us on Twitter, whatever. We'll then reach out back to you as well. Yeah, so it was the main topic of discussion at the most recent ATT panel. And there were mainly 2 points that we raised about the need for affordability, with Huddersfield being the lower end of the average income for the UK, and also that any decision regarding a price rise, I think most town fans were accepting there'd be some price rise, it would just be a matter of how substantial was it. But any decision should be made based on what knowledge of what town fans can and will pay. So we mentioned that we'll be carrying out a survey But previous, and we would share the results of that survey with them. But previous survey results had indicated that affordability would be a factor. So we subsequently share the results with them. So for League One football, for instance, 70% of the respondents, of the 800 respondents, were saying that £300, below £300 would be their cut-off. But we were quite surprised when their feedback and the results were largely ignored. In terms of other research, I mean, the main thing is what town fans can and will pay. I mean, we did also sort of mention about the fact that Football League teams will be on the TV 10 times a year instead of 3 times a year. So the value of a season ticket from that perspective is a bit diminished, and that's just the official ways you can watch your team on the box. And the main thing is we're worried about the long term going to live matches becoming less and less attractive because it becomes too more expensive. The more clubs just carry on increasing prices, and people just think, you know what, it's much cheaper to watch it at home, so that's where we'll watch it. Obviously, in the last week, we've done a couple of statements regarding season card prices with fan groups such as Cowshed Loyal and media outlets such as Your Good Selves. We'll also be making further formal contact with the club regarding season card prices and amendments that we'd like them to make. There's also a longer term piece in terms of we'll be looking to work with other trusts and fan groups from other clubs, just highlighting the impact that ever rising season card prices will have on attracting young fans from local areas to be able to go to live football matches. So that's more of a longer term piece.
So thanks to Ali for that. I thought it was good of them to join up and put that together. I don't think we got everything we wanted, but under 14s are free, which is good. Basically, I think everybody knows the prices needed to go up, didn't they? At some point, to a certain point, they didn't need to go up so high so quickly.
Yeah,
but they needed to bridge that, and they needed to. The thing is, what Jake Edwards, I almost call him Keith Edwards. Then it's going back in time, isn't it, Cozzy? What Jake Edwards said was that we need to do this gradually over 4 years, and he said that 12 months ago. People don't forget what you say in Huddersfield. People hold you to it. So when it went up so quickly, so high so soon, there's obviously going to be pushback. And I'm obviously stung quite a lot because I'm in a decent area of the ground, and that was coming, unfortunately. But I do think that we did need a price increase. It's just how they did it and how quickly they've jumped from A to Z without going B, C, D, E, F, G. I think that's what's pissed everybody off. They've given a little bit back now in terms of. I think it was very important to keep, because kids have got so much to do now. They've got so many things that they could do rather than go watch football, and you can lose generations of football fans very, very quickly and very, very easily if you price them out. So
they don't help go 6 games on trial without scoring a goal, does it? That's not exactly selling it.
It doesn't, but giving under 14 season cards for free is a good thing.
It is,
Under 18 season cards, 129 everywhere. There's deals for the under 21s students, I think, as well. We didn't get the under 23 category, which is fine. They're giving the under 21 stuff. Adults are still as it is. I still feel OAPs are getting a really bad deal.
I think OAPs is an awful deal.
And the disabled ones are getting a bad deal. So we've not got everything. I think if they'd have relented a little bit on OAPs and the disabled carers one, then I think everyone would have gone, okay, fair enough. It's not exactly where we want it to be, but they have moved. So I think the club have kind of stuck to their guns to a point on this, Neil. It's just the kids ones they've rolled back on, and I don't mind that to a point. I think it's good that they have, but to be honest, if they'd listened to the right people in the first place, they wouldn't have had to go through this.
Exactly.
They've paid consultants. They've had consultants in and still managed to get it wrong.
Did they do that, or did someone just not hear what he wanted to hear, so paid somebody to tell him that something that he wanted to hear? That was my theory on that one. But again, my cynical side might be completely wrong.
Shit show.
But Matt, don't you just think though that the feel good or the I remember when we went to the Premier League, we all knew that everyone weren't going to hang around, and we weren't going to hang around the Premier for so long. But what we thought and we knew we'd get people that'll disappear to the next bandwagon or whatever. But it's like what you said in the driving, Matt. It's like these people are going to like disappear to Gold Kremlin, maybe even Leeds, dread to think, even Bradford, and stuff like that as well. And it's like what you said there, like friendships has kind of been. Might be a bit emotional, a bit exaggerated, but friendship's going to rip apart. I know people who, because I'm just thinking, where do you even go now? And but because the club are saying, well, they were advertising it. Well, there's still £249 if you want it. But there's some people, rightly so, say, I'm not going to the North Stand.
Not everyone.
Yeah, exactly. So it's like,
Because it's shit.
It's,
Yeah.
it's 1,800. It's 1,800 seats in a temporary stand, which has been temporary for a permanent amount of time. You can go to H-Town, which is good now, which makes it better than it used to be, but. It's not,
Yeah, they're trying to just make it look a bit more full behind the goal, aren't they?
Yeah, I don't like that.
Maybe should have done with the Riverside lower as well. Should have made that lower so it looks better on
crowd
TV.
Compacting, yeah, a bit of crowd compacting. Yeah, I mean they're not, like I said, the season tickets are ideal. I don't think anyone's happy about them, but I think it's a case of what.
I think everyone who's reasonable fully expected a rise, and we're absolutely cool with that. They can't carry on being £250 forever, and all this stuff that's getting done has got to be paid for somehow, and it can't all come out of owner's pocket. And I get that. I think everybody expected a reasonable rise, and I think from what Jake Edwards said, everyone expected it to come in increments. But if the second increment,
if this is the first increment,
that's the bit that nobody will buy them. And the proof will be if this season tails off like it genuinely looks like it's going to do, and we finish outside playoffs and we're guaranteed League One next season, we are buying these extra prices to watch. No offence to these teams, but Stevenage, Exeter, Northampton, etc. It's not exactly enticing, is it? To be fair, it's not exactly enticing. So they've got.
Neil, I go for Huddersfield Town, but if we're going to play dire, slow football, I don't want to watch it. You know what I mean? That's the thing. There's
only one type to watch. It's winning football, and we don't know that.
That's one thing. That's one thing, but. I'm just fed up of being bored. To be honest, sat there bored. Yeah. I'm fed up of it. I'm fed up of my little boy next to me not wanting to watch it because he's bored to tears and he wants to play on my phone or whatever. And it's just want some excitement in my life, mate. That's all I've got.
Great.
Podcast in town.
Sean Jarvis, Dean, and all them lot. We had it buzzing. We had people buying into stuff, and now it's bit by bit. It's just ripped up. It's so sad. I think we can all accept like even relegations as catastrophic as it's been with that Warnock. Great escape, and then it went down again. But it's just, it's sad when people that that love to go and they ain't coming. And we do hear this emotion, don't you? Well, I'm not coming. I'm not going to renew, and this, that, and the other. And then push comes to shove, and they do it. But if this season, I think it's a big issue if season tailed off. I think because sneak it playoffs and maybe even losing that thing. I think okay, yeah, whatever. But if we end up 9th or something like that as well, we're a big thud. We've got no manager. We've got. It's like, a sporting director that's hated. It's like, honestly, I can't remember things as bad as this for some time. I just remember feeling that Davey here a little bit early on was hard work. But this is, and we're supposed to be chasing promotion. Every time you do a podcast with any opposition, they're like, oh, you're only 1 point off this year, 2 points off that year, 3 points off that. And it's just like, it feels like we're 40th, like 10 points off it.
I know, it's silly, isn't it?
It's odd, man.
I just want to point one thing out, Cozzy, as well. I think it's important to point one thing out, and Neil can jump in on this as well. I think while everyone's going on about Mark Cartwright, I think you've got to remember there's a person there as well behind what people are saying and doing. There's a bloke there who's just trying to do a job. He's if you don't think that's fine, you can have that opinion. But I think sometimes personally, there's been a lot of occasions of that, and I know there's been issues elsewhere. Again, these aren't my things to say. If the club want to say these things, then that's fine.
Fully agree.
I don't think they will.
No, I get that.
There's a bloke there. I mean, by all accounts, no one's going to sit here and say the recruitment's joined up and everything's good in terms of that department. But it's a department and a bloke who heads it up. I don't think there's any need to send him letters of abuse and all this. I just think I don't think that's on at any point. So.
I'll be honest, I don't think you had done any favours.
Knock it off.
I don't think the club did any favours when they said that they interviewed him again.
No, and I don't think that Q&A, when he missed that Q&A, and the club didn't really give a decent reason either. I think that came across as him hiding from the public, didn't it? That I don't think it's that went down.
And it might not have been. It might not have been, but be honest about it.
Yeah, and that's it. But that was my only point. I mean, I'm not sitting here telling you he's doing a brilliant job or anything. All I'm saying is that just there's a line that you shouldn't go over, and I think some people are going over the line at the minute. And that's not saying the guy with the Cartwright out banner. That's not saying he's gone over the line, because I don't think he has. There's some other stuff going on. Needs to be knocked on the head.
It's football, isn't it? It's emotional, and it runs away with you. And you can tell from stuff that's been said on here tonight that I think quite rightly we're quite angry at what's going on and not going on. And I think when you've, like Cozzy yesterday, shelled out, probably the best part of 150 quid for a day to get that served up, got every right to start having a pop.
Half a season ticket, that costs.
Yeah.
Almost.
Well, you know what? I looked around. There's people are just in disbelief, though. It's like, you can, even a 2-1 defeat, like go down guns blazing, you walk out there thinking, okay, but just when you're seeing that, it's for such a big game. I can't remember us not turning up as such a big game. People might say playoff final against Peterborough at Old Trafford, but I don't know.
I thought we turned up. We just went 1-0 down and panicked, didn't we, in that one? But
yeah,
I mean, yeah, it's disappointing, mate. But
where's the season? Are we in our opinion finished? Because it feels like we're done, but we've still got a great good chance of getting in there, or have we? But
don't be silly. I mean, we can sit and piss and moan about yesterday's game all we want, but there's another game on Tuesday. We could talk about Lincoln, and if we beat Lincoln, then us 3 fickle bastards or 4 fickle bastards, we sat there going, "Oh, we're going to hit top 6 here." You know what I mean? It's football, isn't it? Town need to respond. Worthy needs to get a response from them. They need to be much better, and they need to be at it from the first whistle, like they were against Crawley. I know you can beat what's in front of you, but Huddersfield need to beat Lincoln now on Tuesday. There's no.
They can't afford to lose. They can't afford. Well, they can't afford to not win.
If we lose, I think we're done, aren't we?
Yeah.
And that's that. And there's still 7 games left, but I just don't. Don't throw the towel in. Just keep fighting. The team throws the towel in. Everyone throws the towel in very quickly. Just keep going. And if you scrape 6, you never know. I mean, a lot of people then say, well, we don't want to get promoted anyway. But there's so many players out of contract in the summer. You can rebuild that squad, and you can get a better manager in the summer. If Worthy gets us promoted, there's a shout, isn't there, that he should keep the job. But you can just get better players. You can get better everything if we go up a level. And things change. There can be a comb over of or a raking over of the playing staff, and because there's like 8, 9, 10 players out of contract, including Karoma, Pearson, Lees, etc. All the old guard, Hogg, Turton, Ruffles, etc. You can either keep them or move them on. At the minute, I would say to move them on. But
I would get rid of
things can change. Things can change. Things can change, and we shouldn't give up. I'm going to say we're going to draw against Lincoln, Neil. I'm going to go with a 1-1 draw. I don't think it'll be great, but I think we'll get a point there. Any predictions from you 3 on this one?
I think we'll lose 2-1. As I said to that Lincoln guy, I can't backtrack now. Yeah, I think they beat us. I think mentally, it's to come back from that. Town defied logic a lot of times, but that were a brute. I suppose I expect to see Kazumu start. I think Sorensen will probably start.
Taylor will score because that's what happens. They'll be expecting him to, but I think they'll beat us 2-1.
Yeah, I think we'll probably lose as well. But just on that point,
bastards, a lot of you.
Is the season over?
Miserable buggers, a lot of you. I'm going to say Town are going to get something at Lincoln.
If they've got any ambition to get out of this league after Saturday's pathetic attempt, there's no excuse than to turn up there all guns blazing and win. They've got to.
I think we can get something. I think we can even. I think we can win the game. I do. I look at the players we've got, and I just think if things go right for us, and you get that blend right. Kasumu has to start if he's anywhere near. Kasumu was so key to our midfield. He has to play. Evans and Wiles together, no. It may even be one where I'd probably go Kasumu, Hogg, and then Evans or Wiles in that 3, and just be tougher and harder to break down, because a chance will come to us at some point if we can keep it tight. Because Lincoln came at us really hard in the last game. A lot of long balls again. We've just got to be a bit more switched on. For me, Balker didn't look fit enough to play. Can he play Saturday, Tuesday? Learn from that mistake. He needs to go back out. And then coming back in, Brodie back in the middle, and I think Ruskin probably back at left back, where he's used to playing.
I put Spencer to right back, Ruskin to left back.
Yeah, I would. Brodie Spencer's a really good right back, and he's played everywhere but there.
Yeah,
but
he
might have to play centre back on Tuesday.
I'm sure
Ruffles isn't too bad there.
I'm sure he's a nice bloke, Ollie Turton, but I'm sick of watching him play football.
He's a lovely bloke. He's Ollie Turton.
I'm sure he is.
He's a genuine. When we're going about bad eggs and what have you, Ollie Turton's certainly not one of them.
I'm not saying he is. I'm just.
No, you're not.
He's not good enough.
He is a nice bloke. No.
He's not good enough. He's too slow on the ball. I could do what he does. He's just basic.
In other news, Town women have drawn 0-0 with Chorley women today. Finishing the season a little bit better, aren't they, Cozzy, after a little bit of a blip, didn't they, a couple of months ago? And they're finishing stronger, hopefully going into next season. Molly's getting a few more minutes, isn't she, for you guys?
Not enough minutes, but we won't. We won't talk
don't want to rake over that one.
No.
But,
the only thing to say for me, Matt, is I was chatting to a guy. This is what made me even angry as well. It's like he'd gone right from the big sleep out at the stadium on Friday night, slept rough, raised money for charity, to getting on a bus to go into Charlton to be served up with that. And yeah, right, you're not guaranteed when you go to the games, but it's like, honestly, there's some amazing fans that we have, like, and amazing people doing amazing things like that big sleep out, which has been continuous, obviously even with the new ownership and that as well. And I just think so much credit and respect to those people that did that on Friday again. And that kind of stuff keeps you the pride, the stuff that like Robin does behind the scenes and things like that as well.
You can't question the club and the community side of things. I think they're absolutely brilliant at all that. They nail it. It's some of the stuff that they've done, some of the stuff that they've won. The people behind there who've been around for a long time are just proper Huddersfield Town people, and they're currently being let down by the rest of it.
I think what's interesting today, Neil, I don't know if you've noticed, but there's been hardly any, I think there's been no post social media. I could be wrong. I think we say read the room and stuff like that as well. It's interesting. Today there's been nothing. They've posted stuff as well. So I think it's so frustrating because we still are a community club. There's so much stuff going on, and it does get on my nerves when people can't separate the two. So you're just going to get it now. Cartwright out memes on posts about whatever they're doing and that as well, because there's some tremendous work being done, and obviously that Wednesday walking club where they've got a Q&A and stuff as well. It's just getting hijacked. I suppose it's the same for all the clubs, mate, and it when fortunes are going. But I just hope that if anyone who we know our works at the club and that as well, that's just nothing to do with like getting the football, but just even it's like it's awful, isn't it? Really, that's what makes me sad. It's like when it's good, mate, at a football club, it's so good and everyone feels the benefits, but when it's bad, and at the moment, it's what were your point of Reading us? I can't remember 2 points. I don't know what went off, but it feels like we're like 22. It's so sad how it's ended up, and I don't think it helps, mate. Just down the road, and all Leeds and the balls just tip up Bradford, and it's that kind of stuff builds pressure. You always see it, don't they? Like when they're about Celtic and Rangers, where it on the other side, or if Richard's doing well, Barcelona feel pressure. I think that's not helping them to do. Neil, honestly, don't, mate, and people no. So, but yeah, it's Tuesdays. I thought Bristol Rovers were the big sliding doors, but we've got to do something Tuesday, haven't we? I don't know if the door's any good, but yeah, Mansfield. I just wonder how many will be there because. Do you think? I wonder if there'll be any protests and stuff against season cards or.
I'm just looking through the comments because after. What's always interesting is I try not to read comments much anymore because a lot of it's just anger, isn't it, and misdirected some of it. But there's like 180 comments after the full time in the cat. Because I looked to see if they tweeted today, because they haven't. You're right. Full time in the cat. There's 180 comments and 180 likes, and it's like, oof, that's going to be a bit roping. There's someone mentioning here about having a protest outside the ground before Mansfield about Mark Cartwright, but again.
I don't think there's enough anger.
What are you protesting about?
Yeah.
Do you guys think selling Hildred was a turning point in this season?
Oh, Neil, don't get Neil going.
We just did Wickham.
Yeah. I were really against it.
And then we sold Hildred and didn't replace him. And looking back,
I was against it mainly because it took all the height out of the team. Sorry, Josh. It just you triggered me. But it's just because it took the height out of the team. That's why I was really against it. It took every set piece.
One
from
of
us.
a multitude of absolutely ridiculous decisions. If you're going to sell him, they've got all that goodwill, the double signing of Charles and Taylor, the excitement around that, genuine hope from everybody that you're thinking, right, top two's on then, and then classic time. I tell you what we'll do. We'll get rid of his captain. Brilliant. Absolute masterstroke. And with the state, I mean, I went on about this at the time, but the state of our defenders, injury prone, not particularly good, but they've all had injuries and spells out. And we sold him when we were down to bare bones, expecting Balker to come and play twice a week, have a day off. It's that's the brain dead stuff that I can't get my head around. It was an absolute unmitigated disaster selling Alec. Ridiculous.
Yeah, because at one point in the season we had about 6-7 centre backs, and then we ended up the other week with 0.
None.
It's just how does it happen?
We had a back three, and Spencer and Ruffles, didn't we?
Yeah.
There's some bad luck and there's some bad decisions. I know the other one was I know Bojan's not exactly the most popular.
Scored, didn't he, at weekend?
Yeah. But
a team chasing promotion.
We got rid of Bojan an hour after Reece Healy had broke. Well, whatever it felt like an hour. Just at the same time, Healy went down injured and was out for the rest of the season, and we let Bojan go still. And it's like, well, and then we struggled for strikers.
I just think they thought that Charles and Taylor would play every week, play all games, score all goals. That's never going to happen, is it? It's just never going to happen. But selling Ellick at that point was, and not replacing him, just compounded selling him. Just ridiculous. And a team who's realistic about wanting to challenge to go up. At that point, talking about top two, that don't happen.
No high up front either, apart from the
That's it.
None.
There's no set piece threat. It's a small team all of a sudden, isn't it? A small team, physically and mentally, not the best.
Yeah.
Good times, playoffs, winning it.
You were Alec against Bergsorg, wasn't it, yesterday? Alec v Bergsorg, wasn't it? Didn't Alec?
The Doctor, Dr.
Yeah.
Bergsorg.
When we won the playoffs before, we've limped into them. 2012, 2017.
Yeah, we know. If we finish, like Neil said
2017
earlier,
was a good season, though. That's the thing.
if we can sneak fifth on 81 points, Neil, that's all we need to do.
Yeah, that's the golden, isn't it?
Yeah.
We'll see.
I think the only chance we got is if we sneak in the playoffs and get Wickham. I wouldn't fancy us against any other team, but I think maybe we can get past Wickham.
I think
Thing
it's
is,
momentum.
you've got to beat two of them, haven't you? That's the problem.
I think it's momentum. I watched Leighton Orient on Thursday night, and there's a spirit. They can't believe how they're doing. They're up for it. The manager were going mental, and it's like stuff like that. I was jealous of what they had. That spirit that obviously never really be there. Have the League One? They started their season in November. I know that people can point to all the playoff teams that have gone up though, and they didn't have a momentum, but we've got the most unmomentum apart from I think Bolton. Although I thought they were going well under Schumacher, but my friends, I think they're playing Wigan on Tuesday night. Some massive games Tuesday, and I don't think they can't get anything there. That's sad. But I'll tell you, on sad note, did you see that Wigan fan that passed away that had gone missing? And the club put out, he really sad. This is a guy, he lost his job, but he was like a Wigan through and through. Sometimes it's a bit like Andy Kirk, someone who's recognisable to the fan base, no matter where you go and that as well. And this guy was 52, bless him. The club did a video, they put like a message out, the rugby team did everything as well. There was a big search for him as well, and they found his body. And yesterday at the game, they put like some flowers on his seat and things like that as well. And I just think it's like, everyone knows, like town fans that like go everywhere and stuff, and that's proper community club. It made me really sad, did that as well. And the guy, it's horrible anyway when they put the appeal out, and then it was just like, we've got breaking news and tragic news and that as well. And I'll tell you what, really nice on that as well. Dave Whelan in Whelan's Lounge, where this guy normally goes. They brought, I think I could be wrong, he got like a pizza or something like that as well, but they had an empty chair with him, and they brought his pizza that he would have had and that as well, and like he was still there. It's pretty heartbreaking, that, isn't it? But just realises how much football's part of the community up the north and that as well. But yeah, sad story. But I think I've always liked Wigan. They've like when Whelan and they've got
pies.
Yeah, the good community club. But yeah, that was a sad thing. But yeah, it's been obviously, we're always going to be a somber one tonight for us. But I just think,
yeah, a bit miserable, isn't it? But we've just lost 4-0 to.
It does not, because
falling out of the playoffs, but
just finishing for me, that it's just it's not really this season. If we could scrape up and bundle up, part of me just thinks I know you're saying next season there's a chance to change it all and that as well, and that's what the positive would be. Part of me thinks there's just any point because we're in such a mess. But and then it goes back to what I would think at the start of the season. Is it better to finish the job off in somewhere in the higher division or lower division?
No. Can't say no.
The problem is
Promotions there, you can't say no.
No, you can't. But if you go up, it would mask a lot of what's happened. And then I don't think much does change. I think if we don't go up and it's seen as a failure, which it is, things have to change then, don't they?
Do you think next season, obviously this season we've come down as a relegated club, do you think some of the points we've got has been from teams being a little bit wary of us, like being just coming down from the Championship? Obviously next season we'll probably still be in League One again. Maybe think that fear factor might have gone and we'll just be another game.
It's a good point, Josh, because you do a lot of these podcasts and you speak to other fans like out and about when you're out, and they've got big respect for us. And they, especially when we're signing £3 million players in January, it's like, oh my God. Sure, but I think you look this year, mate. Anyone who's beaten us or got jaws against us and stuff, have got stuck in. It's like Nathan Jones today. Yesterday they had a plan and they know how to get at us. I think, like you say, that respect, some of that stuff you saw early on in some of them games where we were winning, but you were thinking, God, this team hasn't really had a go. But when they have, we look a bit all over the place. It might work, but then the trouble is, you look who's probably coming down and that as well. Is it going to be Derby, Luton, or whatever and stuff? And it's going to be even harder. I hate League One so much, but it's a tough one to get out. But Sheffield Wednesday didn't come back straight away, and neither did Sunderland. It took them a while for their clubs to get turned around and stuff. So
the stats are the longer you don't, the further away you are from relegating to get to being promoted again, the less likely it is that you actually do go back up. So that's one thing to bear in mind, which is never good, but it just needs a collective organisation and a plan and sticking to it, and that's something we've not been particularly good at. I think that's it for this evening. Gone on for a little while. Thanks everyone for listening. Thanks Josh for coming on. The OGs, Neil and Mr. Kosmala. It's Eid as well today, so anybody who celebrates that, congratulations and have a very good Eid on there.
Happy Mother's Day to all the mums.
Happy Mother's Day to all the mothers. Sorry for ruining it with a constant moaning on this podcast for an hour and a bit, but it's not been the best day, and that's it. We'll be back. Myself and Killer will be back with a midweek episode. Anyone's free to join us, by the way. Looking at the Lincoln game just for the Patreon users. So make sure you sign up, and let's hit the music.
There's a team that is dear to its followers. The colours are bright blue and white. They're a team of renown, and they're the pride of the town, and the game of football is their delight. And all the while upon the field of play, thousands loudly cheer them on the way. Often you can hear them say, who can beat the town today? And then the bells will ring so merrily, and every goal shall be a memory. So town, play up and bring that cup back to Huddersfield. So town, play up and bring the cup back to Huddersfield.